I'll see you.
Nations, the G7, got down to business today at Tokyo's Akasaka Palace. In meetings and during a working lunch, the delegates to the economic summit chewed over such problems as trade barriers, deficits, and jobs. And already comes news of an agreement to cut trade tariffs, potentially the largest cut in history. And we will get details from the U.S. Trade Representative in just a few minutes.
And the major story in this country, obviously, in the Midwest of this nation, millions of residents along the swollen Mississippi River struggling to cope with the most basic concerns of shelter and food. We're going to go up and down the Mississippi today. We'll check in at points along the river to see how people are doing. And Spencer, the weather for them?
All right, well, Charlie, the flooding, of course, is not the only big weather story. We have another one, heat wave. The heat goes on in Washington, D.C., which is one of just many eastern cities caught up in the grips of the most recent heat wave. In this half hour, we'll show you some tips on how to beat the heat, and we'll update you on what's happening with the rain in the Mississippi Valley.
And also a little later on, Wimbledon tennis champ Pete Sampras is in our next hour, actually, a special look at also role models, and Spencer Christian will be doing that half hour. Who are the mentors and the heroes for our kids today who really need them most? Right now, though, Barry Serafin is in for Morton Dean. He has the news of the day. Barry?
Thank you, Joan. Good morning, everyone. President Clinton says his first economic summit is off to a good start. Just as the first session of the Tokyo summit was getting underway, the United States and its major trading partners announced what they called a breakthrough agreement on world trade. ABC's Ann Compton joins us now with the day's developments in Tokyo. Ann, what's the breakthrough? What does it mean?
Well, Barry, it was a pretty glum group of gentlemen arriving for this summit, but they got a real shot in the arm when 4 of the countries, 4 out of 100 GATT countries, negotiating the kind of trade agreement that has to be done over the next year or so, they got together and were able to shake hands on an agreement which the U.S. says is the biggest tariff cut in history. President Clinton took the unusual move of coming over to the White House press briefing room and congratulating the negotiators himself.
The breakthrough achieved today in the international trade talks is good news for America and good news for the world. It means more jobs and higher incomes for our people. While there are difficult negotiations ahead, today's agreement on manufactured goods breaks the logjam in the Uruguay round.
What today's agreement does is get rid of some of the tariffs, eliminate them completely on some items such as steel, pharmaceuticals, paper, ceramics, a lot of products that will now be sold more easily between those countries. It does not go over some of the worst hurdles ahead, such as European agriculture, but for these summit leaders on their very first day here in Tokyo, it was a real shot in the arm. Barry?
Well, Ann, is this agreement on import duties likely to pave the way toward progress on some of those tougher issues on the table?
Well, it's a very small part of the overall GATT negotiations, which is just one of the items on a long list on the agenda on the table with the summit starting today. There are a lot of other more difficult, entrenched problems that these leaders are trying to take care of. President Clinton also today tried to tackle a separate issue, the U.S.-Japanese trade relationship. He kind of nudged the Japanese people in a speech to take more American products into their country because it would help them by reducing consumer prices. So he's hitting a number of issues, keeping a number of balls in the air at once.
All right, thanks very much, Ann Compton in Tokyo. ABC's World News Tonight will, of course, have all the latest developments from Japan. Tonight, Peter Jennings will be reporting from the ancient city of Kanazawa. In Italy, at least 16 people were killed and at least 22 were injured in a tour bus accident near the Austrian border. The bus was hit by a car and plunged down an embankment into a river. Hundreds of rescue workers were called to the scene. Several people are still missing. Hurricane Calvin is blasting its way up Mexico's Pacific coast this morning. The storm ripped through Acapulco yesterday, tearing up the popular beach resort and swamping its streets. At least 28 deaths have been blamed on the storm throughout Mexico. Thousands of people have been evacuated. And in this country, more people are expected to run from rising waters across the Midwest today. New storms will only add to the devastation caused by the worst flooding in decades. As ABC's Aaron Hayes tells us, the Missouri town of West Alton has surrendered to the overflowing Mississippi River.
The people of West Alton, Missouri spent the evening moving out. For the past several days, they had tried to shore up their levee, but they got the word late yesterday to quit trying. The Mississippi River was still rising, and would probably go over or through the levee that protects their town. So Ronald McHale put all his worldly goods in a truck, and that's where he's going to live for a while.
I'm going to go up there and live up there at the pit stop, sleep on the steering wheel. I got the whole front seat loaded, you know, nowhere to go, no money. What are you going to do?
You can't fight it, and cussing it ain't going to help it out a bit.
Joe Brass is a West Alton, Missouri farmer. He and his sons just recently lost all their crops to flooding. Now the Mississippi is slowly heading for his house.
That just knocks all your hopes away from it.
All the hopes were knocked out for West Alton late yesterday when emergency crews made the decision to retreat.
And it's killing me, and there's nothing I can do about it. So we'll move stuff up and we'll go from there.
They had hoped hard work and preparation would be enough to save them, but the Mississippi is continuing to swell here. Won't crest until early next week, and then it's expected to be a full 14.5 feet above flood stage. Erin Hayes, ABC News, West Alton, Missouri.
More violence in Somalia this morning. A United Nations spokeswoman says 2 American soldiers were wounded by flying shrapnel when they were attacked with a rocket-propelled grenade. The Americans were at a guard post in Mogadishu. The grenade was reportedly fired from a passing jeep. In South Africa, 4 more people died in violence overnight in 2 black townships, the result of political violence that has led to the death of 73 people over the past 5 days. Police say a power struggle between the African National Congress and the Inkatha Freedom Party is to blame. The ANC says the killings are designed to coincide with last week's formal announcement of national elections. Nelson Mandela blames the violence on what he calls sinister and anti-democratic forces. The ANC leader was in Chicago yesterday to receive the key to the city and to raise money to educate South African voters before next April's election. 14 anti-nuclear protesters face charges of conspiracy and disorderly conduct for breaking into Buckingham Palace. The 14 women scaled the palace walls yesterday and came within 20 yards of the building. Scotland Yard claimed the women were arrested within seconds of setting foot in the Queen's Gardens. But the protesters said police didn't show up for about 15 minutes. And finally, hundreds of thousands of people are hoping they can beat the odds. A $100 million jackpot is up for grabs in the Powerball lottery tonight. The strike at rich dreamers are in 14 states and the District of Columbia. As for the odds of winning, it's 55 million to 1. That's a first look at the news this morning. Charlie and Spencer, you might not want to bet the farm on that one.
No, I think not.
54 million to 1. Yeah, but if it hits,
yeah.
Right? If it hits.
Then they go from a farm to a ranch.
Powerball madness. Thanks very much, Barry. 8 minutes after the hour. Spencer's got the national weather forecast, both the heat and the situation on the Mississippi.
Yeah, we're going to start with the heat, actually, this half hour. And, you know, in every season of the year, there's a lot of hot air in Washington. But there's more hot air there now than at any time in recent memory. Heat wave began earlier this week, on Monday, a high of 96, which was a record for that day, Tuesday.
The breakthrough that will eliminate trade barriers by cutting tariffs on hundreds of products traded by the U.S., Japan, Canada, and the European community. U.S. Trade Representative Mickey Cantor is in Tokyo accompanying President Clinton. Joins us this morning. Mr. Ambassador, good to have you with us.
Good morning.
Secretary Benson was here yesterday saying, I don't think we're going to see any fireworks or dramatic breakthroughs at this summit. Do you see this trade pact as fireworks and dramatic?
Well, I don't know about fireworks and dramatic. It's certainly a breakthrough, and it's certainly welcome. It means more jobs for more opportunities for American businesses. It means we got the Uruguay round, the round to reduce tariffs and to increase services for Americans overseas. It means we can reinvigorate this round, which has been going on for 7 years. With the president's leadership, in just a few months, we have gotten the most significant tariff cuts in history.
But I'm not sure if this is a final pact or if this is preliminary. President Clinton said in his news conference this morning, if this is accepted by the 114 nations negotiating worldwide trade, then it would mean more jobs. It sounded very preliminary to me.
Well, what it is, it's a first major step towards getting the completion of what is called the Uruguay round in order to lower tariff barriers, to grow jobs in our countries, to help American businesses, and really to promote global growth. We also have to have agreements in services, which we made some progress on today as well, in agriculture, which we begin on Monday in Geneva to talk about, and in trade rules. Truly, we've taken a giant step forward with the president's leadership.
But for this pact to be put into effect, it has to be okayed by those 114 nations in Geneva negotiating the Uruguay round, right?
Oh, it's a challenge. There's no doubt about it. And yes, that's correct. But we have the momentum now to go. It's taken 7 years, and there's never been a market access package, as they call it. We reached that here today. And I think that that is a major step forward in trying to promote global growth, which we sorely need.
And one other thing people want to know, whether this kind of an agreement does anything to alter the basic trade imbalance, particularly with Japan.
Well, in fact, it will alter trade imbalances, maybe not as much with Japan as others, but we have very low tariff barriers, as you know, in the United States. Other countries have much higher barriers. As we lower their barriers, more of our products will get in and we'll do better in trade. And that means more jobs. Charlie, as you know, for every $1 billion more in exports, we get 20,000 more new jobs. Those are real jobs for real people.
Do you think people see it that way, though, given the domestic fears about losing jobs overseas? Do you think people in this country see lowering barriers as a plus?
Well, I think more and more. You know, American economy now is 26% trade with other countries. It's become a very critical part of our growth. In the last 5 years, half of our net growth has come from exports. And so reaching this kind of agreement allows us to grow jobs, allows our businesses to really to progress. And frankly, this has been part of President Clinton's plan in order to grow our economy. And with his leadership, we've been successful. And this is the first step. You're right, we have a challenge, but I think we can make it.
U.S. Trade Ambassador Mickey Cantor, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Charlie, very much.
And we'll be back.
Reports from pressure points along the Mississippi coming up next. Mississippi continue to roar south. Flood-drenched communities from Minnesota to Missouri are both pumping out and preparing for what may be more rain and flooding on the way. We are going to check in with 3 areas for an update along the Mississippi River. Joining us from Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin this morning is City Administrator Gary Koch. And a little further downriver in Davenport, Iowa, is Colonel Al Kraus, commander of the Rock Island District of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And in St. Louis, Missouri, Dave Murray joins us, formerly of Good Morning America and now meteorologist for KTVI-TV, back in his hometown. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Joan. Good to hear from you again.
Yeah, I'll start with you. I don't know if we can see it that much, but I've been told it's been raining there, right?
It's been raining since about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. It rained fairly solidly all night long. We picked up another 1 to 2 inches on the average, some places 3 inches. Still raining right now, but starting to taper off just a little bit.
You've been in this business for 17 years. Have you ever seen it like this? Have you ever seen anything like this?
Nothing like this, especially here in the St. Louis area. We really have to go back to 1973, and you can kind of see the river in the background. And just to give you an idea, the crest right now is expected to be 42 feet on the 13th of July. So we're still a few days away, but that crest is going to bring the water right up these steps, just about to where I'm standing, and that will be record levels at that point. And that's given the fact that we will not have any additional rain, and there is more rain on the way.
Well, now that the camera is pulled out, we can see your unique weather reporting uniform there, Dave. But I guess shorts are required wearing. But this is an unusual month. Am I not right that this kind of flooding usually would happen in more like March or April? Isn't July unusual?
It is very, very unusual. It's very natural for the river to flood, but in July it is not. We did have a flood here in April. We had a lot of rain starting in the middle of March. The rains brought the rivers up over flood stage, and they didn't really have a chance to come down much. And then what happened starting the 1st of June, we had some massive thunderstorms come across the area. They dropped tremendous amounts of rain. That's the pattern we're still in. And because the soil's saturated, the rivers were bloated already, up comes the river one more time, and that's why we're near record levels right now.
All right, Dave, thank you. Good to be able to talk to you again. Gary, can you hear me in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin?
Yes, I can, Joan.
Now, has the river crested there already?
Yes, it has. It crested here last week.
At what level?
At 22 feet. That's about 6 feet above flood stage. It's the second highest river stage we've had in Prairie du Chien.
So can you give us an idea of what things are like around there? Or have people had to evacuate their homes?
We had some evacuations, but we had a Corps of Engineer project here in the late 70s, early 80s, which took a lot of homes out of the floodway. And I think for the first time, really, it's shown that that project was a success. We would have had about 140 homes right in the middle of all of that water, and we didn't have to deal with that, and that was very important to us.
Any estimate yet of what the damage is?
It's really difficult because the water really hasn't receded too much, and we're sort of bracing for more rain, and the likelihood of the river coming up is pretty good. We're still pumping out basements, and I think the real damage here is probably to business and people being out of business. We are a river community, and barge grading operations and our marina and recreational boating and that type of thing have all come to sort of a standstill.
Yeah, maybe we could get the camera to pull out a little bit there. You could show us what it looks like there behind you. I know that a lot of trees have been uprooted, and it makes it unsafe for the barges to go down the river, so the barge business obviously is losing millions. But the water has crept up, I understand, into just a few blocks away from Town Hall?
That's true. We're a little ways away from Town Hall here, but where I'm standing was under probably 2 feet of water here last week, and actually this street was a boltway, so the river has come down a little bit here, but again, it's such at a historic higher level that we're fearful that if it continues to rain like it has, we'll see more, we'll see the river go back up again.
All right, Gary, thank you. Let's go downriver a little bit to Davenport, Iowa. Colonel Krause is standing by there with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. What kind of support are you giving to the city of Davenport as well as other cities along the Mississippi?
Well, right now we're providing extensive support. We have teams throughout Iowa, Illinois, and parts of Missouri. And what we're primarily trying to do is provide the technical expertise that will allow the local communities and everybody to fight the flood situation. We're also providing materials like sandbags, plastic, and all other types of material support. We're also prepared to provide some contracting support if that type of support is needed.
When you say plastics, I know that there are pumps and lines laid all along, so you're trying to pump out. What kind of a health hazard is presented by this?
Right now, you have a lot of smaller communities and individual systems, septic systems up and down the river that have been flooded. So right now, there is quite a health hazard on the riverfront. Also, there's quite a safety hazard in terms of people trying to get too close to observe the river at this stage, and they need to be particularly careful.
You have a drawing, I understand, or a chart that kind of shows us a levee so that we can understand what it is you're dealing with there. You want to show us that?
Well, we have several situations. If we look downstream of the Quad Cities, we have some areas where they're basically going to be fighting a flood fight down there that exceeds the 200-year flood. And this just shows you one of our biggest fights at this time is to protect the miles and miles of agricultural levees that are downstream that protect millions and billions of dollars worth of crops. And the situation we have down there right now is that most of these agricultural levees are designed for a 50-year flood, which might be about 28.5 feet. The river level right now today is approximately at the top of these levees.
I got to jump out here, but we'll continue following this, and hopefully you won't get too much more rain. Colonel, thank you. And thanks to Dave and to Gary as well. We'll be back.
And like a lot of new twists in real estate, it's starting to pick up right now where the market is about the worst. That is Southern California.
These pot-bellied pigs will be penned up somewhere else soon. Right here. They're about to follow their owners, the Conyer family, who've just moved out of this home in Orange Park Acres. Getting rid of the place used to seem like a dream for Barry Conyer, whose expanding family needed more space.
In today's economy, the houses were just sitting for sale for, a year or two, and nothing was selling, and selling way below market value.
Meanwhile, the owners of this house a few blocks away wanted a cheaper home to reduce their mortgage payments.
They had the house on the market for what, a couple years?
Yeah, on and off for a couple of years.
Yeah.
With not any offers on it at all, or any reasonable offers.
Yeah.
Both owners liked their neighborhood, and they liked each other's home. But they were stuck. Neither could find a buyer. So what did they do? They traded with each other.
The Conyers traded a house that once would have brought over $660,000 for a home and property worth at least twice as much.
It was a way for me to upgrade to a larger house and a more expensive house without putting any cash out of my pocket, basically.
Real estate agent Jack Tucker arranged the deal, or as he tells it,
I marry these two frustrated sellers together.
Here's how it works. Take your home's market value, subtract what you still owe on the mortgage, and the result is your equity. Ideally, you find another home with a similar equity, trade loans, and pay the difference in cash. If you're trading up, you assume a bigger loan. If you're trading down, you get a smaller loan. Jack Tucker sets up trades for clients, but he's also practiced what he peddles. He bought this small home with a big lot as an investment, but the investment went sour.
I tried for 2 years unsuccessfully to sell it. I thought, where are the buyers?
He never did find buyers, but he did find Tracy and Lee Werner. They lived in this house in Huntington Beach. They wanted to trade up.
Every Sunday, Tracy would look in the newspaper at the real estate ads, find homes that she liked, and then call the owners and ask them if they'd be willing to do a trade.
The Werners fell in love with Tucker's place. Better yet, they were able to trade mortgages, paying just the $8,000 difference in equities. Of course, their monthly payments are higher, but so is their standard of living.
In Huntington Beach, we had a lot that was 5,300 square feet, and out here we have 47,000 square feet.
It works. If you can just get the people to stop thinking conventional, stick the sign up, you got to sell your house. You don't have to sell it. You can trade it.
And Jack Tucker should know, when he finished swapping with the Werners, he took their old house and traded for yet a smaller house and then finally sold that. So what he did was he got out at the bottom of the real estate market instead of the top. Now, in the end, he lost a little bit of money, but far less than he would have lost if he'd sold the more expensive one that he originally owned.
We've heard about these trades for a long time, and it seems to me that these transactions are mostly taking place between the higher-end pieces of property. Are you seeing much activity with less expensive homes?
That used to be the case, but now less expensive homes are starting to be traded this way. The important thing is not the value of the house or the purchase price of the house, it's the equity. You take a look at that equity, see if you have a match there, and then you work on the deal from there.
And then you pray you have enough cash to pull you over. Thanks, John Stair. 23 minutes before the hour. Harry?
Coming up next on CBS This Morning, the agony of kidney stones. Our Dr. Howard Torman has a first-hand report.
Call 1-800-4-REPLENS for a free sample and discover the difference of Replens. Vaginal moisture that lasts for days.
This morning's health report is sponsored by Tartar Control Aquafresh. It's Stripe to fight.
21 minutes until the hour, 1 American in 8 knows firsthand the pain of kidney stones. Our very own Dr. Howard Torman recently joined the crowd. He's glad he's feeling better. We're glad he's here with us this morning to talk about it. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back. First off, why do these things hurt so much?
It is the world's worst, isn't it? It is just horrible pain. Let me show you exactly where the problem comes from, okay? Now, I want you to imagine that this is your kidney up here, okay, or one of your kidneys. Off of the kidney comes a tube called the ureter.
Right.
This is the thing that carries your urine down to your bladder, okay? There's another kidney sitting up here. Now, when you get a kidney stone, the stone forms up here in the kidney itself, and then it starts to wander on down this tube. And not
yet?
quite yet. You don't know you've got this sucker yet until the stone gets stuck. And when it gets stuck, it blocks that tube and the plumbing starts to back up. Because your kidney is still making urine and it's still trying to force the urine down there, but it can't get by that blockage. Pressure builds up here and the walls of this tube bulge ever so slightly. It's that bulging that actually causes that thing that we call renal colic, or the world's worst pain.
I'm so glad to know that. Here, I thought it was just this thing. It's that sort of inflammation as a result of that?
Well, it's actually the thing dilates. The curious thing is you could take a knife, you could cut your kidney up till the cows come home. You could cut that tube up as well. That wouldn't hurt. As soon as it starts to expand slightly, though, very slightly, that's when all you know what breaks loose.
Okay, I sat in a hospital for days with Tylenol with codeine that let me rot in there in unbelievable pain. What is the real treatment for kidney stones?
The real treatment, and by the way, I went through the same misery. The real treatment for kidney stone is most of these things will pass on their own, but they need a little help, and the help comes in the form of hydration. You go in the hospital, you start an IV, lots of fluid, it helps to flush that stone through. The other thing, and this is the key thing, it's not Tylenol with codeine. You need the big gun narcotics. Your doctor and your nurse cannot try to play hero with you. They can't say, no, we're going to save the world from morphine abusers. You need as much pain medication as it takes to keep you comfortable till this thing resolves.
So, but basically, they don't want to do anything invasive. They want this thing to go out on its own.
Because 80–90% of the time it will go out on its own. Now, if it stays there, if it doesn't go away, or you start getting a fever indicating maybe this thing's getting infected, then they've got to go up north and get this thing out. out. Now, it depends on where it's located. Sometimes you can use lithotripsy, shock waves, to break it up. Sometimes they have to go over hill, over dale, and go up north with a little basket and pull that stone out.
That's what happened to you.
That's what I had done, and I have to tell you, I was hoping I'd avoid that sort of thing until I was a lot older. It wasn't nearly as bad as I might have thought. I don't want to have another one, though.
Now, so how do you do that? Because once you've had one, isn't it an indication that you'll probably have another and another and another?
Not quite. 40 to 50% of folks will have a second one. After your second one, you get a darn good chance of having a third. The key, since most of these stones are caused by dehydration, lots and lots of fluids. 2 quarts of water or fruit juices per day. That'll keep you hydrated. What that does is it keeps all those chemicals in your urine from getting concentrated enough that the stone can actually start to form.
So just jam liquids for the rest of your life once you've...
pretty much have to get in the habit. Some folks may have a chemical imbalance in the body, but the main thing is water, water, water.
Someday we'll sit around and talk about just how terrible the pain is.
Wretched.
Welcome back. Good to
Good
have
to be
you
back.
17 minutes before the hour, jazz star Diane Shure sings a Patsy Cline standard. Just ahead on CBS This Morning.
Has asked for his extradition, and that raises many questions as to what rights the Sheikh has and what options the United States has. Joining us now with an overview is immigration specialist Stephen Legomsky, the Walter D. Coles Professor of Law at Washington University in St. Louis. Nice to have you here.
Good morning.
Why don't you start by explaining to us the difference between the deportation process and the extradition process?
Okay, they are 2 entirely independent processes. They happen to be going on at the same time in this case. But deportation is a process by which the United States gets a person out of the country. It's initiated by the United States government, and the sole purpose is to get the person out. In theory, the U.S. government doesn't really care where the person goes as long as it's not here.
And, and can they go anywhere then?
It depends on the situation. Normally what happens is that at the beginning of every deportation hearing, the immigration judge asks the alien one question, and that is, if I end up deporting you, which country would you like to go to? And U.S. law says that that designation normally has to be honored unless it's prejudicial to the interests of the United States.
And the basis for his deportation is that he made false statements on his immigration visa, right?
That's correct. The INS is charging that when he entered originally in 1990, he concealed a conviction on a charge of bank fraud.
And he also failed to say that he's polygamous. I think that was another thing. All right, now the extradition process. That's initiated by a foreign country.
Exactly. Extradition is initiated by a foreign country, and the sole purpose of extradition is to get the person into, in this case, Egypt, in order to answer criminal charges back in Egypt. In this case, they were alleging that back in 1989, he had incited a riot.
It's, I think, even attempted murder charges. But there is some question. There's a loophole here. A person can't be extradited for any kind of a political purpose, right?
That's right. Every extradition treaty is different, but most of them provide that if it is a political offense, the person cannot be extradited, and normally it's up to the country from which the person is being sought to decide whether the crime is political.
When we took him into custody on Friday, was it connected to the extradition process, or was it solely because of the deportation?
At that point, solely because of the deportation. The Attorney General has the discretion to detain any alien pending the deportation hearing, and in this case, the Attorney General thought that if allowed to remain at large, he would either pose a danger to the community or else just go underground and not show up.
All right, a couple things legally. Can he challenge, first of all, the Attorney General's deportation?
He can. Anybody in this country who is taken into custody can file for a writ of habeas corpus, and the judge would have to decide whether there's some reasonable basis for holding him.
Is it possible for the Sheikh now to leave this country, now that the extradition process and the deportation process have started?
That's a strange thing. I've been reading in the papers that the U.S. government is under the impression that at any point he could simply leave. But the immigration law is fairly clear that if an alien leaves the country once deportation proceedings have been initiated, the person is considered to have been automatically deported.
The 2 legal processes, are they going on together as one court case or separately?
Completely separate. And the strategy here is interesting. The Egyptian government could just let deportation proceedings take their course, but the fear they have is that he could be deported to some third country, in this case the Sudan, in which case they would lose jurisdiction over him.
And does one take precedence over the other?
No, they're just 2 parallel proceedings. Either one could be decided first.
How long does this process go on?
Very hard to predict. Normally, an appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals on the deportation order, which is what is pending now, takes a good year or two because there's a tremendous backlog. But the BIA does have the discretion to expedite a case if there's some reason for doing so. And in a high visibility case like this, it wouldn't surprise me if they did.
All right, Stephen Legomsky, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
49 minutes after. Coming up next, for Pete Sampras, the thrill of victory and the agony of the heat when Good Morning America continues here on ABC.
So you switch from home.
It is 8 before the hour. You saw the match on Sunday morning. July 4th was an American day at Wimbledon, and Pete Sampras became the youngest male ever to win, youngest male, American male in the Open era to ever win Wimbledon. I got to get that straight. Pete Sampras, how does Wimbledon champ sound to you?
It feels pretty good. It's something I've really worked for a lot of years, and to grow up watching Wimbledon in LA and to be a part of it and to win it, it's a great feeling.
Is this, in your mind, the biggest title that you can win?
This, I believe, in my mind and a lot of players' mind, is the biggest tournament in the world. And you know, U.S. Open 3 years ago under my belt, there are a lot of guys that have not done that. And so, you know, I'm basically on cloud nine still.
Yeah, it is awfully nice that you joined us. I should mention you're coming to us from the Saddlebrook Golf and Tennis Resort just outside Tampa. You're now back home. Has it really sunk in yet?
Well, it's each day. It's, you know, I've probably gotten maybe about 6-7 hours sleep the last 3 days. I'm waking up 6 in the morning. My eyes are just, you know, I'm still kind of a bit wired from what happened, but you know, I got a couple more weeks off. I'm going to enjoy it and do a bit of practicing. So, you know, it's a lot of good memories are at Wimbledon in '93. So, I'm looking forward to coming back.
I was very struck by the way the British press played all this, and one of the things they criticized you for a lot of things, but one of the things they criticized you for was being so unemotional, and yet it didn't seem to me that you were that. It just you looked that on the outside.
Well, you know, the British press are very critical. You know, they weren't too thrilled about the final. Jim Courier and myself, you know, Jim and I aren't going to be as flamboyant as an Andre Agassi, but we just let our record do the talking. And, you know, my goal out there is to try to win, and I hope people come to watch me play, you know, for my tennis. And the British press is, it's definitely different, but it's something that, you know, they say something negative, it goes in this ear and out the other.
One of the things they were saying was that the match was boring, and a huge percentage of the points, the ball was struck 3 times or less.
Mm-hmm.
Has the equipment plus the power of tennis taken away from its artistry?
I think the power has definitely gotten much stronger even since I turned pro 5 years ago. But I think the guys, you look at the guys in the top 10, everyone is huge, 6'1". I mean, these guys are really big guys, and you know, as hard as we're hitting the ball on grass, it makes it even look even faster. So, you know, playing Jim, I mean, we did have some baseline rallies. If I was playing some like, you know, Boris Becker or Michael Stitch, then you really see no rallies. But Jim and I think, had some pretty good points.
You went in seeded number 1, but I got the sense that not many people expected you to win. Did you expect you to win?
Going into the tournament, didn't really know how I was really feeling. I was having some problems with my shoulder, and as the tournament went on, I was starting to play a bit better, and you know, when I got into the quarters playing Andre, you know, that's, you know, 3 more matches away from winning my first Wimbledon, and fortunately things worked out for me.
Well, you can relax, you can smile, you can begin to internalize, and have a good rest, and look forward to seeing you back out on the tour.
Thanks, Charlie.
Wimbledon champ, Pete Sampras, and congratulations to him. 5 before the hour. We'll continue in a moment.